I'd like to discuss why being a landlord sucks, why I don't like renting, and why having a ton of rentals, in my opinion, is a bad business model, both short-term and long-term. All right, where do I start? Probably the 4 T's. Tenants, toilets, termites, and did I mention tenants? Tenants are a double problem. Not just the ones that live there, but the other ones who show up that either couch surf or do whatever they're doing so that you've got, instead of one tenant, you signed up for rental in that property, now you've got 16 in there. That happens all the time. It's happening more and more, and it's going to happen more in a downward shifting economy into the recession that we're currently going into. So these are problem things. You can't get over these issues, whether you do them yourself or you do them through a property manager who's good at doing these kind of things. You still end up having the problem, whether you have the problem directly yourself or you have to pay for it. One way or the other, you're going to have an issue. That's the first thing. So you got the 4 T's. The second thing is you don't make any money, and that's probably the biggest thing. That probably ought to be number one. You've got an opportunity to potentially help people who need a place to live. You got an opportunity, if you're a real estate investor, to be able to take some properties that are distressed off the marketplace and turn them around into a rental unit. It's a great philanthropic exercise, in my opinion, but it probably should stay that. It should be something that you do just to help people. It is not a good business model. In fact, I still defy anybody to point me out to a single family home millionaire who made all of his or her money by renting doors and making the net $100 a month or something like that they'll make. It's a disaster. I mean, when you do the math on something like that, if you could net $100 per door per month, in order to get $1 million, it would take you like 86 years when you do the math. It's crazy. You just don't make, and that's if you had 10 properties, you just don't make enough money. And even that, I can guarantee you're gonna have deferred maintenance, you're gonna have problems, you're gonna have an asteroid hit. There's gonna be something that goes on that's gonna cost you some bucks along the way. So just figure you're putting your money down a rat hole. It is not a good return. In fact, the recent surveys that are out there have indicated that it is much better investment, and I believe this to be true, to currently buy a U.S. 1-year T-bill, T-bond, for 5% than the cap rate, the actual return rate you're going to get as a landlord. So it's something sub 5% at this point, and it's going to go down even further. On top of that, now that's number 2. Number 3, this business really just screams to the government, come and enforce me, come and lord over me, come and be my boss, because essentially it's becoming a basic human right to have shelter. I mean, it's something we want for everybody, but nobody is entitled to live in the Taj Mahal just because they want to. I know society tends to think that way today, but that's not the case. And so, unfortunately, a lot of the government, both federal and state, believe that to be the case as well. And so they do things like we just saw during COVID where you couldn't evict people. This was a private party contract between you, the landlord, and them, the tenant, and the government stuck their head in the middle and said, you can't enforce your rights that you have, and don't worry, Mr. Miss Tenant, because you're not going to get evicted and you don't have to pay. And this is going to turn into, we haven't seen the downstream effects of this yet, but I'm looking at them on a daily basis, and I'm seeing people's properties go to foreclosure after they got out of forbearance, and they popped their forbearance, and now they can't do anything with these properties. They're going to be upside down. There's going to be a whole new battle with short sales. A lot of these guys, and a lot of these are property owners that are landlords. These are properties. Remember, there's 28 million single family absentee owner owned homes in the United States, and a chunk of that is in the hands of the mom and pop operations. About 21 of the 28 million units are owned by individuals like us, and unfortunately, they're the ones that get hit the hardest on these things. And like I said, the government will come in and say, you can't get paid. And then as a result of you not getting paid, you got to go into forbearance. And as a result of the forbearance, you tried to climb your way out. You couldn't do it. Now you're in foreclosure. They're going to take that property from you. It's going to be a long-term effect on your credit history, and all for the $100 a month. It's a shame, and I don't believe anybody ought to do it. So those are my top 3 primary reasons why being a landlord is, in my opinion, a crazy idea. Also, the BRRRR method, as they call it, sounded good for a while. BRRR, buy, repair, rent, refinance and repeat, I think, is the way that it goes. You know, today, go ahead and good luck trying to find a refinance rate. Anything under about 8% for a non-owner occupied single family rental home. It's probably going to be closer to 9 or 10 here pretty soon. So you're going to be upside down. You're not going to make any money. You know, that's going to be a problem. And it's just, like I said, it's got, in my opinion, 3 strikes against it. Actual being of the landlord, the tenants, toilets, termites, and tenants, the monetary issues, and the invitation to the government that says, come interfere with my contract between me and another person, private party. And more and more, the government is adding rules, just to put an asterisk on that. They're adding other rules, especially here in California. We'll talk about some more of these next week, where it's very hard to evict a tenant. You know, tenants got more time. Even if they can't pay, they get more time before they get evicted. And, you know, it's all falls on the shoulders of the landlord. Landlord doesn't have any additional rights. There's no landlord welfare agency out there to pay us back for these times when, you know, these kind of things happen. There are better ways, in my opinion, to essentially enjoy what you think are the benefits of owning a property as a landlord, as an absentee rental owner. And there are things like depreciation, for example, and things like that. If you're concerned about the tax benefits and different things, you can do something like buying a property subject to. You're not signing on the loan, you're not putting up any money, you're taking over somebody's existing current payments and you're keeping them current. You can do, then on the exit strategy, you can do a lease option, which means you can lease the property to somebody with the option for them to buy it. You're going to get a different class or caliber of tenants in there. They're going to have more of an owner's mindset. And then you're going to be able to sell them a home on a long-term basis with a higher than market price because you're giving them financing. So you're going to get money up front vis-a-vis an option consideration from that tenant. We call them tenant buyers. From that tenant buyer, you're going to get some upfront money. You're going to get some cash on a monthly basis. Let's throw it out there and say it's $100 per month per door. But at the end, you're going to get the difference between what you bought it for and what you sold it for. And you're going to be able to add on about 10% on the sale price because you're selling an asset with financing. And you're selling it to somebody who can't go to Bank of America today and get a loan and cash you out. So you're providing a really big service to them. We call them homeowners in training or tenant buyers. I've done a ton of these things over the years. And like I said, you get paid 3 times on this deal. And it is the better way to landlord, in my opinion, because you're at very low risk. You're not putting your name or your credit or your money on the deal. You get a better quality tenant. And these tenants don't have tenants of their own. And they're motivated to get this deal done. You'd be surprised when people have an opportunity and somebody bets on them and gives them a loan to buy something. That's essentially what you're doing, or a period of time to come up with the rest of the money. They act more like homeowners. It's a pretty good thing to see. You have a better chance of success. Plus, you're going to make a lot more money with a lot less risk. So that would be my recommended alternative strategy to either BRRRR or just buying a property and sticking it in your rental fleet and becoming a rich landlord. Once again, I put that challenge out there. I'd like somebody to show me their financial statement that shows they made $1 million being a landlord of single family homes, and that's all they've done. They just made $1 million doing that. It's not going to happen. The math doesn't work. So alternatively, as a regular real estate investor, or more properly stated, as a transactional engineer, what Blair and I teach, we teach 15, 16 ways to buy and sell. And there is always a way to go out and make money in real estate. And the majority of it is a chunk of cash. My mentor called it a chunka, C-H-U-N-K-A, chunka. You always want that chunk of cash if you can. And so you have a chance to get that. You have a chance to play landlord if you so desire, which I don't like doing, but nonetheless, you can make money doing it this way. And, it's just a better environment. It's not a grind. It's not a hustle. It gets your creative juices flowing. You help people and you make a pretty penny for that result. Alrighty, that's it today. Okay, thank you for watching. If you get a minute, I would love to hear your comments about what you think of these videos. Feel free also to put in any topics down here in the comment section, things that you'd like to hear me discuss. Any questions you want, go ahead and put in here. We'll make sure we get a video on it when we get time. And as always, please like and subscribe. Hit that ring the bell button as well to get notified every time there is a new video. Thanks a lot, everybody.